Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Cavletics, an inside look into the athletics department here at Bossier Parish Community College. I'm your host, Charlie Cavell, and well, baseball season is in full swing. Bipsy baseball season, that is, and Coach Bobby Williams' Cavalier baseball team currently owns a 24-13 overall record and a 10-10 record in Region 14 after last night's big 5-3 win over Angelina College in Lufkin. The Cavaliers are battling for a spot in the Region 14 tournament, which will be held this year at Vincent Beck Stadium on the campus of Lamar University in Beaumont, Texas. Bipsy is having one of its best seasons in recent school history and is hoping to make the Region 14 tournament for the first time ever in school history. With all of that being said, let's welcome to the show the head coach of the Cavaliers baseball team, Bobby Gillum. Bobby, thank you for joining us, taking the time to visit with us today. And I know your busy schedule, especially today, and kind of scrambling, playing a game last night, and then today having to figure out what we're going to do for the weekend with the impending severe storms that are predicted for tomorrow. But thanks for taking the time to visit with us, and we really appreciate you being here. The Bipsy baseball program hadn't had a winning record in over a decade, and truth be told, hadn't been relevant on a national level in 2 decades. Last time Bipsy baseball was relevant on the national scene was back in 2000-2001 when the Cavs posted back-to-back 40-plus win seasons with Coach Jay Ortiz, who's now the athletics director at Southeastern Louisiana University. However, your ball club is on the verge of winning 30 games, something that hasn't been done here in a while, and posting a winning season. We just talked about that hadn't been done in over a decade. At the end of the 2018 season, you made a conscientious decision in that kind of almost an epiphany of sorts that in order to compete in Region 14, you had to go in a different direction. Is that kind of an accurate statement?
Yeah, we started over all the way. There's only a few guys back from last year's team, and those guys have come in hungry because they want to be part of something else, to be a part of changing something. But we're mainly younger guys. We got in a few transfers. Sometimes other people's trash is our treasure, and we made some moves and took some risk, and we've got enough talent to be out there competing in this conference right now.
Well, before you could make changes to your roster, you had to make changes to your coaching staff, or you did make changes to your coaching staff. Was that part of your let's tear it all down and build it back up kind of process?
I think so. I think it was getting people with different personalities and different experience, and people I could trust the way I wanted to trust them.
You brought in over 50 players in the fall, eventually whittling down your roster to the players you have now. I know you and your staff really worked hard to go out, recruit players, and bring in the kind of talent that you can compete in Region 14 on a weekend and weekend out basis.
We've got some good connections in Houston that we get some good players from, but really is this state of Louisiana, there's a lot of good baseball, and we weren't getting talented players in this state. They think about other schools, but they weren't necessarily thinking about Bipsy. So I think that was the biggest amount of focus, is to go get the good players in the state. We got down in South Louisiana a lot more, and we've got some guys that are tough and they want to compete, and they believe they should be here, and they've made a difference just in our attitude and culture of our club.
Your team got off to a really good start, and right now you're 24-13, 10-10 in Region 14 play, Eastern Division, after last night's big 5-3 win over Angelina, which is it's a really important series because Angelina came into this weekend about a half game ahead of Bossier Parish, and with last night's win, that bumped you up in the standings ahead of the Roadrunners, and let's hope that continues. But
sure.
your club has begun the second round of Region 14 games. Last week, you swept a 3-game series from Northeast Texas, a team that was a win away from the national tournament last year. And last night, like I said, beat the Angelina Roadrunners 5-3. That win moved your team a game ahead of Angelina in the East Division standings. Give me your assessment of the season up to this point.
Out of conference, we were really, really good. You get in this conference and you find out quick how competitive it is. You got 30 games. Each one of them are a dogfight to win. We took some growing pains and some lessons in the first half of the conference, and that's going to happen when you play as many freshmen as we're playing. But, we kind of had to have a few gut checks and respond, and we've bounced back this second half. I think we're just more prepared. These guys know what every team looks like, what these guys are doing with the ballparks. And so now we can kind of just get back to focus on trying to play good baseball, and the results we're good enough. We play good baseball. The results will happen for us.
We'll talk a little bit about last night's when you went on the road to Angelina, which is in Lufkin, Texas, and beat an Angelina team 5-3, despite having to overcome some adversity even before you got on the bus.
We were down to our fourth catcher. Just insinuating, had a guy sick, had a guy had to sit out, had another guy hurt. So Caleb Cleveland stepped in there, and he was a guy that caught a little bit in high school. We really didn't know what we were going to get from him, but he did a heck of a job. Got a big double, scored a run. Dylan Collins pitched great, which he seems to do most of the time. Played good defense. We got hits. It was a team baseball game. It was hard fought, but it was a good win. Exciting.
Yeah, whenever you can go on the road in this conference and get a win, much less a 2-run win, a 5-3 victory, get a good pitching performance, and then play good defense and hang on to win the ball game. And as we just mentioned, 4-string catcher, really?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Did you even know you had a 4-string catcher?
No, we were trying to find who our 4-string catcher was 2 days before the game. So, you sometimes you learn more about your team than you thought you knew. And Hunter Shaw has come on, and he's got 4 or 5 saves in conference. Came in last night, got a save in a crucial clutch pressure situation. And, we're believing we can win. We're in there fighting, and you always want to win. But as long as we play with the desire and the intensity we played with last night, you can accept the results of what happens.
We're going to take a brief time out right now, but stay tuned because following the break, we'll have more with Bipsy head baseball coach Bobby Gillum, and we'll talk a little bit more position by position. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
We grew up together. We believed in something bigger than ourselves. The military took me to one side of the world and her to the other. And even though she was always the strong one, when we caught up years later, I found out she had fallen on some hard times. It was her call to make, but doing it together made all the difference.
When I see homeless vets on my route, I always think to myself, we both swore an oath to protect our way of life, to protect our community. With VA's hotline for homeless vets, I can get them connected with help to get them back on their feet again.
VA's round-the-clock hotline can put veterans who are homeless in touch with the resources and support they earned through their military service. You have the power to help a veteran facing homelessness. Go to va.gov/homeless to print your wildcards. For veterans who are homeless or on the brink of homelessness, call 877-424-3838.
In 1977, in Johannesburg, South Africa, an 8-year-old boy picked up the game of golf from his father. By the age of 9, he was already outplaying him. The odds of this gentle lad winning the Junior World Golf Championships at the age of 14, 1 in 16 million. The odds of that same boy then making it to the US and European Pro Golf Tours, 1 in 7 million. The odds of the Big Easy winning the Open Championship once and the US Open Championship twice, 1 in 780 million. The odds of this professional golfer having a child diagnosed with autism, 1 in 110. Ernie Els encourages you to learn the signs of autism at autismspeaks.org. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference.
The Coast Guard Foundation gave me funds to attend school. During that same time, my wife was pregnant. The foundation's grant allowed us to buy food, diapers, clothing.
Coast Guard Foundation really helps us to keep in touch with our families. They make an impact, and it leaves an impression that you don't forget.
I would like to thank the Coast Guard Foundation for helping out when times were tough.
Because sometimes, even the rescuers need to be rescued. The Coast Guard Foundation, proudly supporting the men and women of the United States Coast Guard and their families. Find out how you can help at rescuetherescuers.org.
Welcome back to Cavletics. I'm Charlie Cavell. We're visiting with Bipsy head baseball coach Bobby Gillum. And Bobby, let's dive right back into the 2019 season. But more specifically, let's go position by position and talk about the players that have seen playing time at we'll start at first base. You have Northwestern State transfer, guy from my hometown of Lafayette, and Hudson Laborde, who's a legitimate Division I player. And he's shown why, as he's currently leading the team in home runs, and had another one again last night. You said it was a pretty big shot.
It went out by 50 feet. Yeah, it was a shot. He's got 9 home runs. He leads us in home runs and RBIs, and he's getting looked from other D1s. And he's the biggest presence. We have a lot of good hitters that can spray the ball around, but he's kind of our big guy in the middle of the lineup that makes people a little bit afraid.
Well, and he's an older guy too,
Yep.
So oftentimes what you hear junior college coaches complain about a little bit is that we don't have the junior and senior, those upperclassmen, to kick guys in the butt when they need to be kicked and push them. But Hudson, being a little older and a sophomore, he is able to provide some of that leadership that maybe not ordinarily get at this level.
Hudson works hard. He's a hard-working hitter. He's been there, just like you're saying. He's been there and he's seen there, and he knows how hard it is to be at the Division I level. All these guys are trying to get there, and he's trying to get back there. And he's been on a mission, and he's played really well the last 2 weeks. And when he's hitting and the rest of us are hitting, hey, we're a pretty good offense, just like we got 12 hits last night.
Well, and he comes from a program in Northwestern State that, hey, don't forget they went to a regional last year, all the way up in Washington against with LSU and the national champions,
Oregon State.
Oregon State. I said Washington, I meant Oregon. But so he's a legitimate Division I player. You've certainly upgraded your middle infielders from last year with Kanan Dodge at second base and Bobby Lotta at shortstop. Dodge is another young man out of Lafayette and the baseball powerhouse that is Turlings Catholic, a school I'm very familiar with, being that they're crosstown rivals at St. Thomas More, where I went to school, and we had, that epic battle's been going on for a long, long time. But I know he's drawn a lot of attention from Stephen F. Austin in particular, but in my opinion, Bobby, I think he's the catalyst for your team, particularly offensively. He's the proverbial table setter, isn't he?
Yeah, no, he's done good. He's hit 1 hole. He's hit 2 hole for us this year. He's been hitting in the leadoff spot the last couple of weeks. Kanan's he's the guy that knows how to get himself ready to play every day. Plays hard every day. He's as polished a second baseman as you can ask for. He's he's the definition of a ball player.
Is there a major leaguer that Kanan reminds you of by the way he plays the game? I mean, the guy that comes to mind for me, Bobby, is a Dustin Pedroia.
That's who I would say. Yeah, that's definitely I would say. He's not flashy. He just plays hard, gets it done, fundamentally sound, mentally tough.
Well, and a lot of it, I think, also obviously has to do with the size. You were a guy who was a tough, competitive player coming out of Loyola, playing at Centenary, but your size may have been a factor.
Sure.
And I think he has the same situation.
You got a chip on your shoulder to make sure to show you can go play. And, that's the cool thing about baseball is there's you don't have to be a big guy to go out there and be really good.
At shortstop, Bobby Lotta has made a really big impact, not just with his bat, but with his glove as well. Last night had a really good night at the plate, and I think he's kind of settled that position for you.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. And he's filled out draft cards lately. The Giants and the Blue Jays have come to practice to look at him in the last couple of weeks, along with Kyle Jones. He's got a chance to get drafted this year, hopefully, hopefully he can get drafted this year, come back and get drafted again and be in a better spot. We've got him playing in the TCL, which is the Texas Collegiate League this year. And that's where we're trying to take the next step is get these kind of players that are drawing all kind of attention, get them to play in major college summer leagues. And, you come back, we're so young next year, you come back next year, golly, we're really ready to go.
We need one of those franchises in Shreveport. But
we've talked about that.
That's a show for another occasion.
Yeah.
At third base, you had a walk-on there last year, and this year you have a freshman in Will Doty out of Iota High School. Will has certainly been an upgrade at the position. And, in my opinion, and I know I'm a little biased, obviously, but Will gives you a toughness that is needed in a guy that plays the hot corner. I know he's been bothered by a little bit of a knee, been bothered by a little bit of a wrist injury, and last weekend comes out and goes 4 for 4.
Yeah, he's really been hurt all year, dealing with a lot of just tendonitis in his knee, and he kind of looks like the walking wounded out there sometimes, and he's hobbling around. But yeah, the guy plays. He plays hurt. He plays good. He's just a sound guy that mentally handles the game pretty well. We're trying to hopefully get him healthy this summer so he can lift weights and get strong again, because he really is just kind of gutting it out. But yeah, he had a great one day last week and went 4 for 4. Got a couple good hits last night. Made some good plays. That's the thing. We've got a lot of guys that are just sound, tough ball players right now, and that gives us a chance.
Well, he comes from a solid baseball family. His father, Chris, has been in the Parks and Recreations director down in Crowley. His brother played over at LSUS. So, Will comes from a baseball family.
He's a baseball guy.
In the outfield, you've got Kyle Jones out of Calvary Baptist Academy in center field. And, God, we don't have enough time to talk about just what a superb athlete Kyle is. He has all the physical attributes you could want in a player, particularly a center fielder. Kyle is someone you and I both believe not just has a strong chance, but we believe that he will be drafted.
We really hope he is. We hope he is. Hope he gets a chance. And somehow if it doesn't happen this year, we hope it can, in the next couple of years. I think if I tell all the scouts, if he got a chance to not do school and just do baseball every day, that kid would work as hard as he could, and I think he'd use his chance. He's got the mental toughness to go stick around pro ball for a minute.
Well, and the
gifts.
You just can't teach the physical gifts that young man
he's
has.
as gifted as athlete as I've ever coached.
Well, and he made a play, folks, the other day in right center field. I was broadcasting the game on the radio, and when the ball came off of the bat, I didn't think there was any chance that Kyle was even going to be involved in the play. I thought if anybody had a play in it at the time it was the right fielder Adrian Menjares, and Kyle ran about 30 to 35 yards on a full sprint, laid out parallel to the ground, horizontal, and reaches and makes a catch that would be on any highlight reel.
It was the play of the night. Yeah, exactly. It was the play of the night. And if we're going to mention one more guy, you just talked about Adrian Menjares, and he's played some right field to keep his bat in the lineup, but he's also, him and Dragos are our main catchers, and the kid's hitting 450 in conference and just seems to barrel the baseball up almost every time he gets up there. He's another one that's going to be really good next year. We've got him going to a good summer league, and just another one of these guys that, you look and go, man, when they develop next year, we got a chance to be just a veteran ball club with talented players.
Yeah, I jokingly said something to Adrian the other day during the game. He went 1 for 3 in the game, and
his average goes down.
And the average goes down because you're batting 500.
Yeah.
You had Gavin Pelletier in right field. Unfortunately for Gavin, a few weeks ago he injured his wrist, and I believe he's probably done for the year.
We might get him back if we get to the playoffs, and he's trying and hoping, and it's tough for him. He went off to such a hot start, hit 4 home runs early and got hurt, and tried to play through it, and actually trying to play through it, the break in his wrist got worse. But it's Gavin was here last year, and we were trying to build this thing, and he's a super competitive kid. So if he can get back, that'd be great. But I just, hopefully he can keep playing baseball after this regardless.
Well, and only one of 3 position players that you brought back. You mentioned Adrian a minute ago. How have you and your staff tried to work around the injury to Gavin?
Well, it's Lane McClin has been out there in the corner some, and it's basically when one guy goes down, others got to step up. Some other freshmen that were having to kind of wait their turn are getting at bats now, and not one person is filling Gavin's role. We're using multiple people to try to fill it, and at the end of the day, that'll be better for us next year because you're getting some freshmen that weren't getting experience. Now they're getting experience.
You've had a couple of newcomers that have platooned in left field in Zach Lee as well as Colin Kirsch. Talk a little bit about those 2 gentlemen.
Well, Boo Boo had a big night last night. We call him Boo Boo. He had a big night last night. He's got the ability to really hit. He hasn't hit like he can this year, but last night was a good start. Maybe he can keep going through it. Kirsch is, man, everybody knows how tough he is. He ran through a wall not too long ago and literally ran through the wall trying to make a play.
If I remember right, that was
the last series
against
Angelina. Yeah,
right?
He's had some big moments and hit the ball. He's gotten in a little bit of slump right now, and we're trying to get him out. But he's just one of these another good, tough, good athlete freshman that we have that we're excited to have back next year.
Yeah, Colin was a heck of a football player at Notre Dame and Crowley, and he could have easily probably played football had he been just a little bigger, but he's a heck of a tough kid.
Yep.
One thing that that I've noticed that you haven't had maybe the last couple of years is you have some quality depth that you haven't really had your previous 2
we've
seasons.
got that, and we've got depth. I think even more is we've got starting pitching. We're still trying to figure out our bullpen and trying to add to that, but we've got 2 really good starters with Dylan Collins and Jose Cabrera Jr. have come in, and they're freshmen, and hopefully we get those guys back next year that have experienced innings.
Well, talk a little bit about some of the starting pitching. One guy in particular who pitched well last night, and that was Dylan Collins. He's a left-hander. He's been outstanding so far. And then you talked about your Hunter Shaw, your closer.
Dylan's been great. He's a lefty with 3 pitches. His changeup is excellent. He's already drawn some interest. If he can come do it again next year, he's got a chance to really sign somewhere big out of here. Shaw, Shaw's as tough as it gets. He gets on the mound and just throws it right at the hitter and has no fear. And we wouldn't be in the situation we're in right now without Hunter Shaw. He closes the game, and he's able to keep himself cool and pitch in big pressure moments for us.
Well, folks, that's all the time we have for today. I'd like to thank Coach Bobby Gillum for visiting with us and wish him and the Cavaliers good luck, and we hope to see them in the Region 14 tournament. Thank you for watching Cavletics today. Join us again next Friday as we bring you all the latest on Bossier Parish Community College athletics. I'm Charlie Cavell, bidding you a good sports day.